Hello, it is that time again. It is 1 o'clock, Wednesday the 3rd. With me today, I have an amazing guest. He is the Bionic Frog, Christophe Baron. Let's see if we can get him in here. Looks like he's connecting. There he is. Christophe, how are you today, sir?
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Very good, and you? I can hear you.
Fantastic, awesome. Well,
you.
welcome. This is a first for the Wine Advocate. This is the very first time that anyone's had you for an IGTV. I know you've got some announcements to make. For those of you that don't know Christophe, can you introduce yourself and give us a quick background real fast?
Sure, definitely. Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me today. It's a real pleasure and an honor.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Good to have you.
And this is something new for us at Cayuse and for me, but I will let you know a little more after that during the conversation. But my name is Christophe Baron, and I'm the vigneron at the Cayuse Vineyards, No Girls, Hors Catégorie, Horsepower, and now Champagne Christophe Baron. So I'm from the Marne Valley. We live about 70 kilometers northeast of Paris. So this is the very first slope when you leave Paris and you head to Champagne. Very first slope on the Marne River there. And my family has been a family of vignerons there since the 17th century.
Nice.
In the same village. So this is what we do basically, 10 vineyards and create wines, champagne.
Like a true vigneron.
A true vigneron, yes. I mean, a vigneron, that's why I try to say, like, quite often, I'm not a winemaker. They just give me goosebumps, winemaking, the word or the verb to make wine. To me, is too industrial. I'm a vigneron, so I'm a wine grower, a wine creator. And obviously, like a heavy wine drinker and a wine lover. So that's what a vigneron is all about, Talking about a wine drinker. Look, I'm gonna start.
Yeah. So we've got some wines to try
Cheers.
today.
Cheers, everybody.
Yeah. Cheers. Happy Wednesday. I hope everyone had a happy and safe Tuesday yesterday. I spent it in my place, hanging low, doing the right thing. But yeah, we've got some amazing wines to try. Christophe specifically wanted to try 3 different wines for a purpose. Kind of talk about the background of kind of where it all started for you and where your brands are going. First off, how are you doing? Times are tough. We've got a global pandemic on our hands,
Right.
and it's challenging to be stuck inside, and everyone wants to be outside, and there's a lot of challenges going on. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Obviously, it's been weird, I think, for everyone around the planet, and you have to adapt and deal with it. And so we kind of took a pause during COVID-19, and take the time to take care of our loved one and also taking care of our team, because without a team, there's no Cayuse.
Yeah.
Or any project. So that was the main purpose and the main goal there. Stay focused and stay, deal with one day at a time.
True.
And obviously very scary, but everything is going fine. We were able actually to keep all our employees. We are lucky compared to some friends that we are in agricultural business, so there was no shutdown for us, and still working inside in one studio and also in a vineyard. So we are very proud to keep all the team on, and but believe me, I'm very, very I can't wait to go out and go eat because I'm tired of my own cooking.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a pretty good cook, and but going out and just this is what we are. We are human beings, We like to be and interact with others, and this is what wine is all about, also. So it's time to go back, and help all our friends to bounce back. I think wineries have been doing pretty well compared to other business. Thanks for shipping wines. That's what I've been told, because, you know, it's kind of weird for us because Cayuse model approach. We only sell our wines once a year, and this is in late August, early September. So I have nothing for sale right now, no wine. And so it's kind of, you know, we had to cancel our private release weekend early April. And obviously, which was the right thing to do. And then we are waiting. But at least wineries, seems like wineries out there, you know, they're able like to ship wines, and it's comfort. Wine is comfort. So, and it brings pleasure. So food and wines together, I think, you know, we all have to eat, and drinking with our, you know, with our meal is a good thing to do. So thanks to customers to, you know, to keep supporting all the wineries.
For sure. That's I've been looking at all the trends and trying to keep up with, you know, what's going on with the wine world. And, you know, there are many producers out there that heavily rely on premise, with you know, wine sales at restaurants and that are heavily affected. So it's, you know, you seem to be in a very safe spot right now with all of your wines. I mean, you have very highly allocated wines, very hard to find, and once they are available for purchase, they seem to evaporate on contact. So you are obviously doing everything right. We've got a bunch of wines to try, so let's go ahead and right into it. The first wine that we are going to be trying today, we have the 2017 Bionic Frog.
Look at that, the twin brother.
we've got a match. So if you could go ahead and talk about the 2017 specifically, and then kind of parlay that into how the brand has changed, how the style of Bionic Frog going back now 20 years has changed, and what has evolved since the first bottling.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for asking a question. One thing before I forget,
Please.
I would like to add, you know, I mean, I'm very psyched, very excited because, you know, I'm a farmer, and for many, many years, the social media, I didn't really care about it. And because I like to be outside and farming. And then a few months ago with Trevor Dorland, we are talking and say, hey, you know, we really need to get on Instagram to share our story to the world of wine. And then so we were going to do it. If we won't do it, we won't do it right, okay? So we are looking at hiring a company to help us to launch Instagram for us and help us. And then C19 arrived, and you know what happened, and then we say to put that on hold. And then you contacted me a few weeks ago and say, hey, would you like to be, you know, participating to that? And of course I jump on the boat there and say, yeah, of course. So I've to tell you that, you know, I've got now about like 32 followers.
Okay. He's moving up in the world.
It's awesome. And then when we connected a few days ago, you know, to make sure everything was working, you were number 13. So I hope you, you know, you're not superstitious,
right?
You know, because you are my number 13. So now I think we have 32, and today it's the day we can say officially we're launching, you know, social media and Instagram. So cheers to that, guys.
Cheers to that. Awesome. No, I'm not superstitious at all. I believe in making my own luck.
All right. So to answer your question about Bionic Frog, I did hesitate to choose between two wines. First, the Bionic Frog and Cayuse Vineyard Syrah. Because Cayuse in French means stones, obviously. And the Cayuse was the first vineyard planted in a stone of Milton Freewater on March 21st, 1997. The first modern day vineyard. Because, of course, there was vineyard there with the Italian immigrant and other people until the mid-50s, early 60s. But nothing happened until we planted that vineyard in 1997. And I wanted maybe to, you know, maybe I should, you know, pour that wine today and talk about this wine. But the Bionic Frog, I think it's one of our flagship wine, and this is my nickname. So I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about the Bionic Frog, because the style of Cayuse is because of the Bionic Frog and what happened to me in 2002, 2001, 2002, when I planted that vineyard in 1998, created the first wine in 2000, and I was all these stems, and there was about 50% yoke. And then I went to Cornas to meet with a gentleman there, a vigneron called Noël Verset, one of my mentors. He became my mentor, and that was the first time I met with him. And we went to his little kitchen there, sat down at the kitchen table on the Formica, with the radio there, and I opened the bottle of wine, and we tasted the wine, and you could see no emotion in his face, nothing really. And so I asked him, at the time I was just like 30, 32 years old, that was like my first vintage of Bionic Frog, and I asked him, I said, so what do you think? Yeah. And he said, like, well, you use too much oak and there's no stems, right? It's all these stems. I'm like, yeah. He said, well, you need to use all clusters. So that was the beginning. So in 2001, we used 25% all cluster, and we dropped the oak regimen from 50% to 15, 20%. So this is really where it started, the style. And at the time where I was, using a facility in Walla Walla, and then when I asked, like, we need to dump some old cluster, they look at me like if I was E.T., I was from another planet, Yeah. But that was the beginning. And so we found that, so the style have changed for two reasons. For that, and also, I used to say, well, in order for me to pick Syrah, like I've got to caress the clusters, and if he feels like velvet and shriveling, it's time to pick. Yeah. Well, that was a youth error, in my opinion, and now, because a little too much alcohol, too much ripeness, too much of everything, and less of freshness, less of terroir nuances. And I realized that this is not what I wanted to do. I realized that it's very important for us to focus on terroir and work very hard on terroir. And in order to show terroir, you have to pick when the fruit is ripe, but not overripe. so, and which is not easy. No, it's a very hard thing to do. It is a very hard thing to do. I equate it like landing a fighter jet on an aircraft carrier. You got to get the right time, the right timing. Everything has to line up, and then you go. Boom, and here we go. And that's the reason why we are 100% estate. Yeah. Because we have the control over when we want to peak, and we can make a decision. On Thursday we go test and say, okay, well, let's pick that block tomorrow on Friday, and then I will call my crew early in the morning, say, well, you know what, I changed my mind, don't pick. Let's test again today. So that's the beauty of having all your vineyards in the same vicinity right there. And I feel very fortunate that I don't drive hundreds of miles, to go to get like a berry sample. So, but anyway, it's another topic. Okay. So that's definitely, the style of the Bionic Frog has changed. There's more freshness in the wine, more structure in the wine, lower alcohol. I think the wines deliver a lot of pleasure, and this is all about that, right? For sure. This is our job. Our job is to deliver pleasure. So I like to say, I'm a pleasure dealer. A pleasure dealer, I like that. Yeah, here you go. You might get you into trouble. Kind of pleasure you won't get in trouble too much with. So anyway. So this is scheduled to be released this fall, correct? This fall. This fall. Yes. Well, actually, no, sorry about that. That was released last fall. I'm sorry, yeah. That was released last fall, and our customers on the mailing list who went to come to Walla Walla to attend our private release party will have come in April to pick up their wine. So we gave them the opportunity actually to ship the wines, 50% discount on shipping, or keep the wine until until the fall. We can ship with the 2018 or next year. Hopefully, we'll have a Cayuse weekend.
Nice.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So
cool, awesome. So let's go ahead and taste this. And what ultimately are you looking for when you make Bionic Frog now? What aromatics, what sensations are you looking for when you create Bionic Frog?
I let the vineyard dictate itself. I let the fruit dictate itself. You know, we are just there to accompany the fruit. We are trying to do as little as possible. Again, it's all about picking, you know, and trying to capture the beautiful terroir that we have in Milton Freewater. That means really the sensational life in the soil, because we are in biodynamic farming. Yeah. So trying to capture those mineral flavors, the sensation of fruit, of course. Bionic Frog has plenty of fruit, dark fruit. Yeah. There has a lot of savoriness, you know, and this is really what we're trying to capture from the stones. And basically, it's like, you know, the least you do, the better you are.
For sure.
Right? Definitely. So that's, you know, I'm not a magician here, you know, just a farmer, and we have a great Elisabeth Boursier, our assistant vigneron, and we are very in tune with our palate. So we are lucky that we like the same things, to drink the same things, and this is what we are trying to create. I mean, 2017, it's ripe, you know, but it's the fruit. When we went over there and picked the fruit, you know, the berries were crispy. I mean, they're juicy, and the sensation was like actually grabbing an apricot from the tree that's just perfectly ripe. You know, you pull and you have that crunch, but that juiciness. Yeah. Well, so that's what we are looking for. You know, if the apricot is already on the ground, I'm sorry, but it's too late.
Yes.
You know, so. And the oak is what we're trying to do there. Yes, I mean, something important in terms of style is like up until 2010, we used to purchase demi-muit, some food, some 1,200 liters food, and then some barrique. And in 2011, I decided to stop la barrique. And I said, la barrique est morte. The bird is dead for us, obviously, for what we are trying to create here. And we are in a very hot area, so we are trying to capture the freshness. Yeah. For me, freshness in the wine is even more important than acid. And it's all about the freshness. So we are trying to use larger volume, you know, just to protect that freshness, and even like having a little reduction, you know, but control reduction, you know. So we are not buying birds anymore, only demi-muit and food. And it works great for what we're trying to achieve here, you know, because it's so hot. We don't need any makeup, you know. And what I said, you know, to the tonnelier or to the cooper is like, I want to pay a lot of money. I have no problem paying a lot of money for amazing oak, okay? But I don't want to taste the oak.
Yeah.
As simple as that. Yeah. Right? So in a Syrah, it's 10 to 15% new oak at Cayuse, and in the horsepower is literally nothing. Very neutral.
Just enough to keep it interesting.
Sure.
So why was it important to you to change the style and expression to show a wine with lower alcohol, increased lively acidity, and a mineral tension to the wine?
It was very important because this is what I drink. You know, I mean, like, I drink a lot of French wine, mainly French, Italian, Spanish, some American, obviously, of course, and the rest of the world. But I really, really love Champagne. I drink a lot of Champagne, Burgundy, Northern Rhone, Southern Rhone. This is the type of wine I like to drink. Barolo, Italian wines also. So for me, it's just, again, it's trying to achieve balance, you know, and so hard to achieve, really so hard to achieve. And for us also, the thing is, at Cayuse, we don't have water. Never had water in a tank.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've got to peak either a little earlier or right there. But, you know, when you have like 40 almost acres of Syrah and everything comes together, you've got to start peaking at some point.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, we don't have a machine harvester. It's hand-peaked. So at some point, you've got to peak. And that's the reason why, when we talk about horsepower, the reason why I decided actually to create a new project, to be able actually to widen the peaking window of many Syrah. You know, in a stone is very hard, you know, I mean, like to get the Grenache overripe, and we talk about Grenache also, you know, but the Syrah can be very tricky, you know. Yeah. It's like Merlot, you know, when it's ripe, you know.
Yeah, when I was last there, you had opened up the 2007 Bionic Frog for me. The wines you're making now, I think, have they're more sincere, and they show the terroir expression. I think a touch more clear, and there is a fine precision to them that is just, you look at it and you say, how did he do this? And you shake your head and wonder, is this guy magic? So, yeah.
There's no magic. It's hard work. It's farming. It's 60 and some acres of now 70 acres of vineyard, but nearly altogether close to 50 employees. Yeah. You know, but in the vineyards about 35 all year round. So it's 30. So it's 2.5 acres per employee. There is no trick. There's no gimmick. There is the labor of love, and trying to really accomplish something very unique, true to the place. You know, because I only have one shot a year. We only have one shot a year. I'm not a brewer, so every year I have one harvest. So we've got to go 110%.
Yeah.
Right? If you're not 110%, don't even bother doing that. You know? So.
Mr. Baseball, Pete Rose. Awesome. So, yeah, that's, I mean, Cayuse, Bionic Frog, that's kind of where it all started for you.
Yes.
Let's switch gears. Let's go into, first off, before we move on, is there anything else you want to talk about Cayuse and Bionic Frog before we move on to Horsepower?
No, I don't think so. I think that's, it's got beautiful legs, you know, frog legs. I love the frog legs.
Right.
Inverter with a lot of parsley and garlic.
Right, yeah. So let's shift gears. Let's go to the Horsepower 2017 Grenache Sur Echalas vineyard. This Grenache is just stunning. It's beautiful. Go ahead and introduce the wine and speak briefly about why you chose to show it today.
Okay. So that's, yeah, you showed the label Horsepower Grenache Sur Echalas 2017. Well, you know, I get easily bored. And with Cayuse, we got 4,500 cases of wine. We have almost 4,000 people on the mailing list and 15,000 people on the waiting list. And I thought that, okay, that's enough. I'm done with that project. Now we need to push the envelope. We need to push along boundary. What can we do? And after adopting biodynamic techniques in 2002, I thought that in order to really close the circle was to create like a working farm and bring draft horses on the property. And I really wanted to feel like what it's like to farm with draft horses, like my family, my grandfather did in Champagne until 1957. So what we did in 2008, we planted the first vineyard, which is Sur Echalas. And in French, Echalas means stake. So that means on a stake. And we planted a vineyard with a density of 4,840 vines per acre.
Yeah.
4,840 vines per acre, 3 by 3.
Yeah, it's pretty high density.
One stake, one vine, and it's 12,500 vines per hectare. Okay, and in order to cultivate those vineyards, we actually purchased draft horses, beautiful Belgian horses, and that's how it started. Because we really wanted to close the circle.
Yeah.
And this is what happened with Horsepower, and I wanted to see what it's like having more vines per acre, and how can we make wine differently in the same type of terroir, but even better, or not necessarily better, but different.
Sure.
I mean, if you don't try,
Yeah.
how are you going to find out?
Yeah.
Right?
The answer will always be no until you try.
Right, exactly. So this is what we did. I got all the equipment from France. They are from Burgundy, from a small village called, a little village called Von Romanée, you know. Just a little village there. And so I bought all the equipment, we brought it over, and we bought some draft horses. Our first draft horses name was Zeppo, passed away, unfortunately. But anyway, now we have 6 draft horses. And I love those wines so much. They're different than Cayuse.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Cayuse is more flamboyant. Yeah. You know, as the Mousquetaire. Yeah. You know, with the hat and feather. You know that. Yeah. That's Cayuse wines with more fruit, more lush, more. You know, it's more sexy. Yeah. You know, there's more form. Yeah. And Horsepower is more like boom, precision, direct. Yeah. Tension, density, structure, just salt, iodine, you know, umami. That's I really love that. Yeah. I love those wines. So what we found out is by having more vines per acre, you create a different microclimate, and this is part of terroir. As a man, I'm part of terroir. You know, you fine-tune terroir. And we found out that we can actually reach physiological ripeness at lower Brix level, you know, and that's all about that. For me, it's like with global warming, you know, I want to reach physiological ripeness at lower Brix level, and then there's more hanging time. You know, we pick those vineyards usually 10 days, a week to 10 days, sometimes 2 weeks after the Cayuse vineyards. So talking about spreading the window of picking right there, you know, and that means that the stems are riper, and I can use more stems in fermenters. So more old cluster, and this is part of our pedigree here, where you get so much floral character in that Grenache. The peonies, the rose petal, is from the stems. You know, the stems really had a structure to the wine and that flavor profile.
For sure.
You've got to be careful. It's not because now there's a whole thing about, you know, the new thing is stems. And that's the new marketing trick and gimmick about stems. You've got to use stems and to the right proportion. Yeah,
because they could easily flop on you and go the wrong way.
You know, I mean, if you put a pound of salt in your pot of boiling water to make your pasta, I'm sorry, but I don't want to eat your pasta.
Right.
You know? So that's the same things you've got to. So it just every year we learn. Every year we learn because our goal is to create very amazing wine from the Walla Walla Valley. You know, this is goal number 1. And of course, we don't use new oak. We only use neutral. And when we talk about neutral, demi-muit is neutral. I mean, I'm talking about demi-muit that are like 8, 10, or like even 20 years old. And 10, you know, so it's, you capture really the true essence of what comes
for sure
from the place. Not only that, to create a bottle of wine here in that vineyard, you need 7 vines.
You need 7 vines.
Yeah, well, 5 to 7 vines, depending on the year.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like only a few clusters per vines.
Yeah. So you're what, keeping 2 to 3? 3 to 4?
Well, 3 to 4, but you know, we keep just that much, you know. Yeah. You know, we remove all the shoulders and everything, so it's like just a minute amount of fruit per vine.
Lots of manicure.
And then you are about at a ton and a half, 2 tons, maybe 2 tons to the acre there. And then we're struggling to get more than 13.5% alcohol. So
I can imagine being a vine in that vineyard, looking up at the sun and being surrounded by vines, trying to struggle to receive the sunlight. And I think that's part of kind of what's going on, you know, with the rocks in Walla Walla Valley. It's very hot, but people don't understand that the diurnal shift in Walla Walla specifically, it's pretty significant. It gets pretty chilly there, and it does snow from time to time, pretty much every winter. But
absolutely, but I like what you said. Like you like to be a vine in that vineyard. Maybe in your next life, I give you the opportunity to be a vine there. But I tell you what, I will be in the same vineyard. I will be in Le Musigny. I'll be in Burgundy.
Yeah.
In La Louise-le-Roi vineyard. Not a bad place either.
No, not a bad place either.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's talk about your brands. I mean, now that we're on to the second wine, Horsepower, I vividly remember one of the very last things that I did at the French Laundry was actually put away a 6-pack wood case of the Horsepower, the Grenache, the 2012 vintage that I put away.
Right.
And, you know, being able to have access to those wines and to put them away and being in charge of, you know, taking care of all the wines and service when I took that box, the wooden box, home, and I still have it to this day. And I keep a lot of my my note cards for studies inside there. So now we're on to Horsepower. What does the future hold for your brands? I mean, where do you see them in, say, 10 to 20 years time?
That's a good question. Well, I look at those brands are more like different estates, you know. And we started with those, so different estates, different projects. We started with Cayuse, and I already, you know, told you Cayuse. We are not growing the production there now. Now the focus is Horsepower for me, because we've been planting more vineyards. Now we have 5 vineyards with Horsepower. It's about almost 18 acres, 6 draft horses. So you count, you do, you know, 18 acres times 3,555 vines, and you see the number of vines there is there. But this is really what I want to focus on now, to take Horsepower to the next level there. But I think basically, to be quite honest with you, it's spread the message about our philosophy, which is very simple: is biodynamic farming, respect of the land there, and also gaining a recognition. I mean, international recognition. It's very important, you know. Of course, we have a great following in Washington State, Oregon, the West Coast, the East Coast, and some, you know, Chicago, Texas. Florida, some other markets, you know, and this is great. This is American wine. Americans are proud to drink American wine, and they should be. And we've been trying very hard to be in Europe, Great Britain, EU, Asia as well, because we need to spread the word. You know, we need to spread the word. And even though, you know, we need to spread the word about Washington, about Pacific Northwest, about Walla Walla. You know, I think for me, Walla Walla is very, very important. Everywhere I go, it's Walla Walla, Walla Walla, Walla.
Yeah.
You know, and of course, our brands. But for me, it's very important. And Washington and Oregon as well, because we are on the Oregon side of the Walla Walla Valley, which is kind of something else. But, you know, but that's the reason why our focus is definitely Walla Walla. You know, and there's nothing more pleasant to go to a top-notch restaurant or a brasserie or like a family-owned restaurant, or, you know, and see a bottle of Cayuse on the list, and then being in a restaurant and having like a family enjoying dinner with a bottle of Cayuse. I mean, there's nothing more rewarding than that, you know. And that's what I want, because again, we sell pleasure. You know, so keep selling pleasure, pushing the envelope very hard, and trying to make, you know, always trying to be a leader in the valley. you know, and bring the valley up this way. You know, I mean, we all need to make better wines. There's always room for improvement.
Sure.
So this is where I see in 10, 20 years, you know, I mean, I don't want to sell the brands. I don't want to sell any of those. Work too hard to develop those. Yeah. Work too hard, and even for my team, it would be a complete lack of respect.
For sure.
You know, I mean, the team is there, and we all work together. So we all want to be, you know, where we are at in 15 or 20 years, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. What I've noticed about Horsepower is it is relatively small production. You're between the 5 bottlings that you have between 300 and 580 cases.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yeah, and the plan is to be at 2,500 cases in 4 to 5 years.
Awesome. So you wish to increase production?
Yeah, a little bit, because we planted more land, more vineyards.
There you go. Perfect.
You know, but you know, when we plant a new vineyard, for me, it's like 3 acres.
Right.
So 3 acres, you know, 1.5 tons to the acre, it's 450 cases.
Sure. For sure. Awesome. So with the, I mean, a lot of people talking, you know, first off, Washington really is known for Cabernet. And
yes.
You are more known for Syrah, but you dabble with all the other Rhone varietals as well. And for you to make a Grenache, you know, this tasty, it's just impressive. What was your intention originally planting this vineyard? Did you intend to set out to make a certain style to compete with your other brands?
Like all your child, you know, you have your child, you have them all for what they are, you know, and for that, no, that was being a little crazy and saying, well, let's do it. You've got to do it. Unless I do it, who's going to do it? Who would have planted vineyards at that density in the stones? We are still the only one. I hope that some days, you know, people will decide to do some trial and go the same route. You know, that would be awesome to share what some insight that we have, you know, about cultivating over there with that kind of density. And I really hope this happens one day, you know. So.
Awesome. Do you have anything else you'd like to say about Horsepower before we move on to the next wine?
Well, I would say that, you know, Horsepower, it's kind of the hoofbeat of tradition.
Yeah.
It's closing the circle. It's having those beautiful, gentle giant on the property, and it's trying to make something neat that is different. This is as simple as that.
Yeah. I mean, when I visit the property, it's very holistic. As you said, you've kind of closed the circle. You have horses to till the land. You've got, you know, you're an advocate for biodynamics. Everything natural. Let it speak naturally. So it's very, very, very good thing.
Well, absolutely, because of you know, again, life is too short to take shortcuts.
For sure.
So if you want to do it the right way. You know, and I'm not saying that biodynamic is the only way of doing things, but this is our way of doing things and makes me happy. In the morning when I woke up, makes me happy to know that this is what we do in our different projects.
For sure. Awesome. How do you see Walla Walla Valley really gaining more acclaim and notoriety on the global market?
Huh. That's very interesting. I mean, step by step. I mean, it's so slow, and you know, with what happened now, I mean, but let's put it this way. I think that this started the Walla Walla Valley, the new era, with thank you to Gary Figgins and Nancy Figgins, and then to the small family. That's who they started. That was the first. That was the pioneer. Then I came with a second phase, you know, in 1997. That was the second phase there. Then now it seems that there's a third phase with more investment and massive investment, talking about $1 million, big companies coming and so on. So it's very interesting. But I think that we have to remember that we are a small farming community.
Yeah.
And yes, this is the wine business, you know, and yes, you know, everybody wants to get a piece of the pie. You know, yes, it's very competitive, and competition is great because it helps us to get better, you know, but what I think is like, not forget your roots.
Sure.
You know, and I think we need more farmers. I think we need more small estates in Walla Walla. I think we need more people that embrace organic, biodynamic. And I think maybe for Walla Walla, we should say no more sustainable. It's enough. You know, it's bullshit. You know, sustainable is bullshit. We all know that.
Yeah.
You know, and stop doing things like that. Maybe this should be the real DNA of Walla Walla.
Yeah.
You know, you know what? Don't you think it would be cool if we were the first AVA in all country that there's none of that sustainable? You know, I mean, more power to everybody, to all of us, and it will be like, it will show the rest of the world how legitimate we are.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, anyone who's been able to travel to Walla Walla and taste through the wines of Walla Walla extensively knows that the wines are spectacular, and they're every bit world class than all the other top regions.
I would like to add something, Anthony, is like, you don't necessarily to be certified. We are not certified. We were certified. And then we decided not to be certified demeter anymore when, you know, I got a policeman coming once a year to see what I was doing behind my back.
Yeah.
And then they will send me an invoice that at the time, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I used to pay over $12,000 for my certification. Well, I did realize that, you know, with $12,000, you can buy a lot of Burgundy.
A lot of money. Yeah, a lot of money.
A lot of things. So, I mean, that's the reason why. But people switching their mindset and say, hey, yeah, we can do it here. You know, if the frog does it and some other people does it, everybody can do it.
Right.
Right?
I really do think that, you know, looking at the soil, better understanding of the soil is the next critical step for Washington winemaking as a whole. I think as broadly speaking, Washington producers, they know about their soil, but I don't think they fully understand it yet. And once they do, it will just completely skyrocket. You have such a love for soil, for rocks, for earth. I mean, we spent, what was it, 5 hours together last year, and you drove me to all of your different vineyards, and you're like, touch the soil. Come on, we need to go up the hill, and I'm slipping down the hill, and you're trying to help me up the hill. And your passion for your vines, their well-being, and the ground from which they grow is absolutely phenomenal. I wish more people had your passion. I mean, you're also bounding with energy all the time, and it's hard to keep up with you.
Right, but you know, like I said, step by step, you know, another young guy is gonna come and plant a 5-acre vineyard, and then that's how. Hey, we've got to look at Walla Walla for the next 20 to 25 years.
For sure.
We have a lot of competition out there.
For sure.
You know?
There is. With that, let's move into our last and final wine for today. We're going to be trying the 2017 Hors Catégorie from Walla Walla. This is your newest project. And this is actually, in fact, a picture of the vineyard that you purchased. And this actually must be then just in front of your little house would be over here, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in front before we got a big flood in February.
Yeah.
But anyway, so everything is fine now. But yes, it's Hors Catégorie, and this is our it's insane, huh?
It's stupid. It's so good.
I know. Yeah, sometime, Anthony, we get lucky at Cayuse or category. Once in a while, we have something good coming.
Amazing. Yeah,
So, I mean,
go ahead and talk about why you chose this specific plot of land to plant. Again, it's another high density planting. When I was there, it really reminded me of the Northern Rhone with,
absolutely.
yeah, it was just like, where am I right now?
Yeah, well, you are in Walla Walla. You are at the confluence when the North Fork of the Walla Walla River meets with the South Fork of the Walla Walla River, and it turns into the Walla Walla River. It's a very unique and very special place, and this is the reason why I decided to call it Hors Catégorie. So why? Because it's very like the Tour de France. Hors Catégorie is very steep, and not only that, because Hors Catégorie means it's in class of its own. It's a very unique place, very special place. The river, the force of the water. You have the four elements there. You have the river, the water elements. You've got some meadows, some trees, and the pasture. So you have the water element. Then you have you have wind. You have the wind element there. And then you also have the heat element, with those steep slope there. It's baking, and it gets, believe it, but gets pretty hot up there. And so it's a very unique place that I discovered in 2003. And I crossed the bridge there, and I'm like, oh my God, this is a unique place. And there are two mobile homes there, two old mobile homes, and I found out that actually the place was for sale. But before doing that, I put placed some hobos to see, for one season, to see the temperature up there. Even planted few vines in an area that nobody will see. And then bought the land in 2005 and planted the vineyard in 2011. It took us that long to develop the place. It's very steep at some point. Some area is like 60%.
Yeah.
So all the equipment, again, you know what I did? I went to Ampuy. I went to Côte-Rôtie to purchase all the equipment, because again, it's everything is farmed. There's no terrace there.
Yeah.
So we cultivate the soil with a winch and a plow, so it's very labor intensive, and it's a very special place. And that's the reason why I decided like this will be my last project in Walla Walla. After a project like that, the property altogether is about 33 acres altogether, and it has its own ecosystem, and we have 2 acres planted there, and it's about 1.5 tons to the acre. So that's a ton to 1.5 tons. So it's 1,200 to 1,800 barrels a year. Okay. Everything is then here. It's 100% old cluster. Yeah. Because it ripened later, For sure. And it does such a great job, and there is a little bit of a second feel there, and it's just a very unique place.
Sure. And the 17 is the fourth bottling now, correct?
The 2013 was the first vintage. We bottled everything in Magnum, and we haven't released 13 because we only bottled 150 Magnums. So 14, 15, 16, 17 is the fourth release. Fifth vintage, but fourth.
Yeah. Awesome.
And you've been there. I have the video of you going uphill. I'm gonna keep it for myself though. I won't post it.
I remember you opening up the gate and then us getting to the other side, and then you're like, see you at the top, and you just took off running, and then it's great. And then as I was kind of treading up the hill, I was sliding back down because it was all very steep and loose gravel, and I was like, when in Rome, I should have just took after your example and just rushed up the hill like you did, because it's
right.
This is beautiful. Yeah, I mean this to me has like everything that you really want out of Syrah. I mean, it has its identity, it has mineral tension, it has lifting and energetic acidity to give it life. Tannin structure is completely in balance, and it has all of the great things that I love about Syrah, which is like the black pepper, the slight smoky tones, the hint of cured sausage, and this elegant floral tone that really reminds me of Côte Rôtie. It's a stunning wine, and it's really a shame that you only make about 1,800 bottles of this. And
only 2 acres. Only 2 acres. This is all I can do. I like to tease. That's it. 2 acres is already plenty of work. I mean, we have a 3 full-time employee taking care of the property. It's a very unique, special, magical place. So 2 acres. We could plant more. In fact, but now we'll see. Hey, I've got my roots are calling me back to France. With my champagne project as well. So I've got a lot of things going on. So, you've got to don't put all your eggs in the same basket.
For sure. Awesome. So we've got just a few minutes left.
Sure.
Is there anything that you want to say to the world?
To the world?
Yeah. Anything that you want to...
The world of wine?
Any statements, anything you want to... I mean, this is your first time doing Instagram Live TV, and
right.
One of your first times really being out in social media.
Well, I want to say that we are here, like, our job is to promote Walla Walla. And when I go to some wine show in France, and before giving them my business card, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm a vigneron in the US, and I'm like, give me the name of an AVA, an appellation, a growing region in the United States. 90% of the time, it's Napa. When it's not Napa, it's Sonoma. When it's not Sonoma, it's the Willamette Valley, because it's somebody who went to the Willamette Valley for an internship. It's literally never Walla Walla. Okay? So that's what I want to say to the world. I mean, go to your wine shop, go online, type Walla Walla wine, and buy a case of Walla Walla wine, mixed case of Walla Walla wine. I think that's what I have to say to the world. And don't forget at least to buy a bottle of Horsepower in there, of course, but or Cayuse. But what I would say is, we are all, with that COVID things, what happened, everything, you have time to think, and a lot. And the thing is, basically, we're not much on this earth. You, I, everybody, we're all human being, and we all go through a cycle. Yeah. And that cycle is birth, or born, you birth, life, hopefully as long as possible, in good health, and you die. And I think it's important to every day to think of what you can do to be trying to be a good steward to the land and to the mother nature. Yeah. This is as simple as that. And then beside that, eat well, drink well, enjoy family, friends, and in vino veritas. That's all I have to say.
Vino veritas. Wise to say, my friend. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know you're an incredibly busy person, but you've got all these things going on. So thank you for spending your time with me today, and joining us for the Instagram TV for the Wine Advocate for your very first IGTV. So
there you go.
Been a pleasure. Cheers. Keep up the
Cheers to everyone.
Cheers, everyone. Be safe.
Be safe.
Drink well, and be kind to others.
Sounds great. Take care.
Cheers.
Ciao. Goodbye.